Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Chicago Chef. Today, we're gonna make the world famous Pakistani takeout dish or an Indian takeout dish. Let's just say it's a South Asian classic, which is butter chicken, and we're gonna make a healthier version of it. And this is to show you what a perfect bite looks like. So we're gonna take a pound of chicken breast, and I washed it and cut it up into cubes, like almost an inch sized cubes. To that I added 2 tablespoons of vinegar, 1 teaspoon coriander powder, half teaspoon of garam masala, half teaspoon of turmeric, half teaspoon of pink salt or Himalayan salt, and a teaspoon of red chili powder. And to that, I'm also going to add half cup of yogurt. I like to use Greek yogurt, but you can use any kind of yogurt you like. Now this yogurt is going to help us tenderize our chicken, as well as it's going to make our sauce creamier as well. Now once I added everything into my chicken, I'm going to mix it all up real good so that everything is well incorporated. I like to use a fork, but you can always choose your weapon of choice to mix it up. So I'm just gonna go and fast forward it to the part where it's all well incorporated. And this is what it should look like. You can see how it formed a creamy smooth batter for our chicken to rest in till we prep for the rest of the sauce. The butter chicken sauce. I give my chicken a couple pokes here and there. It just helps to make sure that our chicken absorbs all the flavors and juices of the marinade. And approximately you can let it sit for 30 minutes, or you can even leave it overnight, whichever you prefer. Let's move on to our butter chicken sauce. So here I have 1 medium-sized white onion that I diced up in the morning for my omelet. I used some of it for the omelet, and then I just diced it up to save me some time. And then we're gonna need 2 to 3 cloves of garlic. I'm just gonna smash them with my knife or cleaver. I don't know what they call it, but this is the one I like to work with. And then I'm just gonna peel them and mince them really small and nice, and then we're just gonna put it aside. I like to use my garlic mincer for this because it just does a nice job and makes it really nice and almost like a paste-like consistency, I would say. And you can always do it by hand too, but it just consumes a lot of time. Or you can also use, if you don't have fresh garlics, you can always use that store-bought garlic paste or minced garlic stuff, or even garlic powder is fine. It's no big deal. You can always use some shortcuts. I like to use fresh ingredients, and that's just how I prefer it. But trust me, when you make it with this recipe, it's gonna taste just like takeout. Even better than that. This recipe has a lot of steps, but it's not complicated. It's pretty simple. And there are a lot of versions of butter chicken out there, and I have tried a lot of them. But to me, this is the one that sticks out because it's almost, not even almost, it's exactly like the way they make it in restaurants. So that's why I prefer this recipe. So now I'm just gonna chop up a 2-inch, I would say, a 2-inch sized piece of garlic, which I've already peeled. I used a back of the spoon to do that. It just makes it really quick and easy and less waste than just the peels. Now I'm gonna de-seed and chop up a half of my jalapeno. I used the other half of it in my omelet in the morning, but you can also add 1 full jalapeno if you like. But remember, butter chicken is more like towards being aromatic, rich and creamy, and almost have the sauce has like a buttery texture, but it's not as spicy. So that's why we're not gonna use a lot of chili. We don't want any heat in that. I'm just using a little bit just to give it a nice kick and for the aroma and the flavor. Once you're done with your jalapeños, you're gonna need to chop up some cilantro for garnish. Here I'm almost chopping up 2 tablespoons worth of cilantro, and I already washed it. I actually wash all my ingredients before I start prepping them, and that's one key step I actually tell everybody to do, because there's a lot of germs and basically a lot of dirt in them, and they are sitting on they're sitting in the market for a long time, so you need to just do that for your own sanity. Now I'm gonna take 2 medium-sized tomatoes, and I'm just gonna cut them in halves, and then I'm gonna cut those halves in half, so basically quarter them. And for this recipe, I am actually using a skin on tomatoes. Now I like to make butter chicken in my wok, so I put a little bit of oil in my wok, and basically what I'm doing, this is called seasoning your wok. You heat up your wok, put a little amount of oil, and just kind of make sure that it's well incorporated all the way in your wok, and then you don't need to add any additional oil. So once that's done, you're gonna lower the heat and add your ginger and garlic to the pan or the wok. You can use any pot for this, and we're just gonna sweat them for a couple minutes. We don't want any color, we don't want any browning, we just want to sweat them. And once that's done, I am gonna go ahead and add my chopped jalapeños, and again just sweat them for another 2 minutes. And once that's done, I am gonna go ahead and add my chopped onions to it, and again, we do not need color, so make sure they are not burning up or browning. And again, I'm just gonna saute them for another 2 to 3 minutes. Once the onions are translucent, I am gonna go ahead and add my quartered tomatoes, and I'm just gonna cook them for another 2 to 3 minutes, or until, well, not 2 to 3 minutes. It takes a while to get these tomatoes to a soft, mushy state, so I would say like 5 to 8 minutes. You're just gonna cook them till they're soft. And then these are lotus seeds, so we need a nutty part for this dish, and you can use any kind of nuts. I'm using lotus seeds, and I crushed them and grinded them to almost a powder consistency, and I'm just gonna cook it till it's toasty and the tomatoes are mushy like this. And then I'm gonna cool it down and add it to my food processor, and we're gonna blitz it all up till it reaches a nice smooth paste-like consistency, which is gonna yield us a very nice creamy sauce. Now in the same pan, I'm gonna add a little bit of oil, heat it up, and then add my chicken to it with all of the marinade, and we're gonna cook it till it's tender. So while our chicken is sizzling, let's go ahead and talk about the nutty component of this dish. I know there are a lot of recipes out there that use cashews. It's totally fine. I personally like to use lotus seeds because it gives it that restaurant quality or restaurant-like or takeout-like taste and flavor. But you can always opt for any kind of nut except pistachios because of their color, and that flavor just doesn't go as well with the chicken. But yeah, you can always use like cashews or almonds or walnuts. Any kind of nut goes fine. You just need a nutty component. That's also, if you have any kind of nut on hand, even pecans, just add that. So here is my chicken, and you can see that our chicken has released a lot of water, and it's almost like halfway through there. I mean, we are halfway through there. So just keep cooking until it's fully cooked and the excess water is all evaporated. We do not want a watery chicken. So now you can see here that our chicken is fully cooked and most of the water has evaporated, and what's left is basically the yogurt that we use for the marinade. Now I'm just gonna dish out my chicken into a separate bowl, and along with that goodness or fond as we call it, and let's move on to the final part. Now this is where it gets exciting. I'm gonna add a knob of butter into that same wok and get it all nice and melty. Make sure you do not burn your butter or brown your butter. We do not need brown butter bits for this recipe. Now once your butter is all melted, we are going to go ahead and add our tomato sauce that we pulverized earlier, and this is what it looks. You can still see that it is a little grainy still, but don't you worry, we are going to strain it, because butter chicken doesn't only mean that it's a chicken in a buttery sauce, it also means butter like texture. And it gets this texture, that fine, creamy, smooth texture by doing this. We sauteed everything, we got all our aromatics, we cooked them together, and all is left is to strain it and get it nice and smooth like this. You can see how smooth and rich the sauce is once we strain it, and this is where the magic basically happens. So after straining the sauce, this is what's left, and we can throw this out. Now to the sauce, I'm going to add a teaspoon of cumin powder, a teaspoon of paprika, and a teaspoon of cinnamon powder, a teaspoon of fenugreek powder, a teaspoon of turmeric, a teaspoon of brown sugar, and 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. And we're just going to mix it all together till it's well combined. I'm doing this all without heat right now, and you can see how slowly and eventually our sauce will start coming together. Now if you think your sauce needs some water, you can always add it here, or you can add it later. I'm just going to go ahead and add it now and mix our paste and water together, and then I'm going to start simmering our sauce on low heat to kind of make sure that all the aromatics we added are cooked through. And especially the tomato paste we added, we don't want any canned like texture or flavor of the tomato paste. So we're just gonna cook it off, and you can see it will start getting all nice and bubbly. And once it reaches this stage, we are gonna go ahead and add our cooked chicken to it. Now once we have our chicken in there, I'm just gonna make sure that everything is stirred in well, and that our chicken is fully incorporated in our sauce. And then I'm just gonna let it cook for additional 5 minutes, so to just to ensure that our chicken absorbs all those flavors and aromatics from the sauce. And you can see that at this stage our butter chicken is pretty much good to go. And if you are looking for a healthier version, you can just cook it for an additional 5 minutes and then serve. But we are going to go ahead and add half a cup of cream in there, because why not? Cream just makes everything better. And you can see that how nice it looks. I cannot wait to dig into it. Now I'm going to go ahead and give it a lick to make sure that everything is right, but it's not. We need some salt. So I went ahead and added almost a teaspoon of salt, and then I'm gonna taste it again to make sure that it doesn't need anything more. So yep, it's pretty much ready. I'm just gonna cook it for another 2 to 3 minutes just to kind of make sure that the cream is well incorporated and we don't get the raw cream flavor. And once that's done, I have a serving dish here, which is basically a serving wok. I'm going to dish out my butter chicken here, and we're going to go ahead to our garnish. So now for garnish, I am just drizzling a couple teaspoons of cream, and I'm going to sprinkle some chopped cilantro, the cilantro we chopped earlier. There's when it comes in play. You can also use crushed fenugreek leaves. And then I also like to add some ginger slices. I sliced it really thin and fine, so it's basically julienne ginger. I know my butter chicken garnish is not the usual, like a knob of butter in the middle, but you can always do that. But who said we are normal? We always like it a little extra, so I am going an extra mile here. And this is how I plate my butter chicken. Now you can always enjoy it with naan or rice. I hope you liked today's recipe. Please give this video a thumbs up and give us a subscribe for more upcoming recipes. And do try it at home and share your feedback with us. I always love to see other people's recreations of my version of recipes. I hope to see you guys in my next video. Till then, take care. Bye.